What's up guys? Today we're going to be making this DEIDARA hand with his clay creations, the little spider and the bird. If you want to see how to make it, just stay tuned. So for the materials, you'll need beige. I'm using Primo beige, white, silver, pink, black, and a tiny bit of blue. Now you'll need a chain. Mine is already assembled here, but you just need a lobster clasps. You'll also need some eye screws and some jump rings. I didn't get it on video, but you'll need jump rings. Pliers, a cutting tool, pointy tool, and this silicone tool. So what you want to do first is get the beige and roll it into a semi teardrop, not quite pointy at one end, just like so. Then you'll take the X-Acto knife and cut off a little piece like this. It's kind of hard to explain how, but like that. And then just make 3 more cuts. These are going to be the fingers. And you want to take the X-Acto knife again and make the thumb crease or cut a little bit more defined. And then just kind of give the fingers a rough shape, just to give you a sort of like a guide to see where everything is going to go. So I like to start off by shaping the thumb. I make all of my hands have a hitchhiker thumb because I think it's easier and because I have one myself, so it's easier reference. Then I take the silicone tool and define the hand from the wrist a little more and have the tendon stand out a little more. Then I take the X-Acto knife and take some clay off from there and smooth it out with the silicone tool, because the middle of the hand is always thinner. For the fingers, you want to just cut off whatever you think is right and then just shape it. It's really simple. And you do this to all fingers, just like so. And now you just give the hand a little bit more definition. So you take the pointy tool and make the little lines or creases right above each finger. And for here I thought my finger was a little bit too thick, so I just took some off. So if yours is like that, you could do the same thing. Now just turn it around and give the knuckles a little bit more definition too. It helps a lot to look at your own hand for reference. Now I'm giving it the other creases for each of the finger joints. And you do this to all the other fingers. You just want to bend them into the general shape that you want them. A position where the fingers are slightly bent is what you want to go for. Then you take the silicone tool and make the indentations of the hand more noticeable. As you can see, I was using my own hand for reference. Oh, and don't forget to turn it around and mark the knuckles every once in a while. So then you're going to take a little log of the beige and make the upper lip. And the same thing for the bottom lip. I know it looks funny now, but it'll get better, I promise. So then you just want to blend it all together. And don't forget to give your lips the little marking on top of a lip. I don't know how it's called. And then you just keep on blending. And once you're done with that, you just take the silicone tool and smooth everything around it so it could look like actual normal skin. Then you roll a little snake of the white and you place it in the upper lip. They're gonna be the teeth. They don't need too much detail. All you need is a little bit of white. And the same thing for the bottom. You don't have to go all the way to the middle because the tongue is gonna be right there. It's gonna be blocking most of it anyway. Then you take a little bit of the pink and roll out a little ball and shape that into a general tongue shape. And you're gonna want to place it down and cut off some from the top at a slight angle so it could fit better in the mouth. And just go ahead and place it inside. Then a line right down the middle of the tongue. And there you have your hand. Now you're going to take a little bit of silver and roll out a thin snake and cut off the edges and wrap it around his index finger. You don't have to make them meet all the way because we're going to put another little ball of silver right on top, like so. And then a tiny ball of blue and give it a light squeeze and put that on top of the silver. And there you go. That's DEIDARA's ring. Now you're just gonna want to mark where the nail is gonna go. And then you're gonna take little balls of black and place them on the nail. And just blend it all together, and if you need more, feel free to grab more until you end up with something that resembles a nail, and then you do it to all of them. And here is the hand with all the nails done. Now you just take the X-Acto knife and give the lips a little bit of lines because lips have lines. And also for the knuckles. Now you want to start with the white, which is going to be DEIDARA's clay creations. So you're going to want to start with a ball and then a slightly smaller one. And then an even smaller one. Big surprise. But whatever. To the smallest one, you want to kind of cut off a square. This is going to be the spider. And the square is going to leave it with two little fangs, and that's what you want. Then you want to poke two little holes. Those are going to be where the eyes are going to go. And then you want to roll out a tiny little ball of black and put it right where you made the little hole. And now you want to just roll out a snake and flatten it and just cut smaller versions of that, and they're going to be the legs. So you just want to take the leg, attach it to the body, and once it's all blended in, you just shape the leg. It's easier to do all one side first and then the other. Make sure you make the rest of the legs on the surface that you're gonna bake your creation in. It's easier, that way you don't have to move it a lot. Then we take the ice screw and make a little hole so we could put the ice screw after baking. And since we have the handmade, you could also make a hole in the hand as well. And then you put the two aside, and we'll get started on the bird. So just take a piece and it's kind of difficult to describe the shape, but it looks something like that. And then I flatten one of the sides, and that's gonna be the tail. Then you take another piece, and this is gonna be the head. It's essentially the same shape but smaller. It's kind of like a diamond shape, but then you bend the two edges towards the bottom. You end up with something like this. Once you have something like that, you just blend the head and the body together, and you have something like this. Then you flatten out a little piece, not too flat. It has to be a little thick because these are gonna be the wings. So you just make kind of like a rough wing shape, and you split the feathers a little bit. And to make two that look the same, you just take the one you made before and flip it over to make the other side. And there you have two wings. Now you just attach them to the bird. And you have the bird with wings now. Then you take a little snake and you cut out two similar pieces, and again flatten out another piece and also leave it a little bit thick. And you cut out two triangles. These are going to be the feet. And then you essentially split it into 3 toes or claws, and you end up with that. To the legs, you want to taper one end a little bit and put the tapered end towards the bottom and the other one towards the top and blend them in, and you end up with something like that. Then you take the little triangle foot thing and you just attach it to the foot, and you do that for both of them. And then you just split the feathers of the tail like so. Now you make the little indents for the eyeballs. Again with the black, same thing as before. And you mark where you want the hole to be, and you bake them. Now that they're all baked, you just take the eye screw and screw it right where you make the hole before, and do that to all of them. Now you just take your jump rings, and I added 2 to the hand, but I'm gonna add a 3rd one, but that's after I added to the chain. So I did this to help me mark the middle of the chain, and that was the middle. And I added the jump ring, closed it up, and now it's attached to the actual chain. It's not like a regular thing where you could remove the charm. This one's actually attached to the chain, but then yeah, I counted 17 those little chains to each side. It might be different for you depending on how big your chain is, but yeah, I added the other 2 and I ended up with this. I really enjoyed making it. I hope you guys like watching it, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.